All right, good luck, everybody. Here we go. Actual retail price.
Hey guys. Hey guys, today we're gonna be watching I'm terrible. Continues driving recklessly on a police chase. Bam! What's this now?
Wet freeway here. The car traveling at 124 miles an hour, just blowing by these cars. The police department in pursuit. They're in trail, but about 2 or 3 units are in trail of this pursuit as it continues westbound 10 freeway, and it looks like this guy is not willing to stop.
All right, Gil, any idea of the want on this? We know he's been going fast out of the Ontario area, Ontario police in pursuit. Any idea why they want him to stop?
You know, our Simon desk is working on the original want on this pursuit. We don't have that information right now. In fact, we're not able to hear the police in this pursuit. They really haven't turned it over to the California Highway Patrol yet, but I imagine at this point that they're aware and they're trying to get into position. The driver all across lanes here, such a dangerous situation with these speeds, now down to 100 miles an hour and exiting, it looks like. We'll see what happens. That's a road that he can jump right back on the freeway. So there you go. Back on the freeway, the main line there at 90 miles an hour. So dangerous with those wet highways.
Gil, do we have a passengers in this car or no?
Robert, we haven't got much detail yet from Ontario PD. I know that Catherine on the desk is working on getting that information for us, but right now we're not hearing much in ways of information from the California Highway Patrol.
Well, you brought up that these roads are so slick right now, and wherever you drive, it's going to be dangerous because we haven't had rain in such a long time that a lot of people right now are in harm's way as he's going over 100 miles right now. And what freeway are on the West 10, right, Gil?
We're on the 10 freeway westbound at, well, it's driving through so many exits here, it's really tough to keep up. You can see our map system is working on the top bar. You can see the direction of travel and what exits are coming up. But I can tell you it's approaching the 710 right now. But the speeds here, when we first learned about the pursuit, it was coming through the Kellogg interchange and is now almost to the 710 freeway, and that's within the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're seeing this person on each lane just, moving over and, just holding their breath, hoping they don't lose control. But again, those streets are slick out there. This rain, it's when everybody starts to slow down. And we are seeing a little bit of traffic there. It's not going quite as fast, so there might be someone out in front of him. But it's insane to say that not going quite so fast at 100 miles per hour, but we've seen this driver up to 120 or more.
Yeah, we're looking at that speed again, up to about 100 right now. And really at these speeds, as a car comes up, as he comes up on cars from behind, anybody making a quick lane change, that could be disastrous, spinning this car out of control.
And so what does law enforcement do in a situation like this, Gil? Are they pulling back? Because we don't see them directly behind him.
Let me come out to a wider shot. I don't know if they pulled off and it's just being tracked by a helicopter right now. It looks like they pulled way back, and it's likely they did that because of speed. So we'll see what happens if the LAPD jumps, or I'm sorry, the CHP jumps into this. And actually, if the vehicle does exit up in the next mile or two, it will be in LAPD's jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, Robert and Gil, this is the thing they do quite often when they don't want to spur that driver on. They can see that the speeds are over 100 miles per hour. They know the conditions are very, very bad out there. We're getting rain. As Robert mentioned, the road's really slick because we haven't had a lot of rain in a while. So obviously, law enforcement's going to want this person to start to slow down, to not feel like they have to keep going at this speed. So they back off and give them a chance to breathe. But this driver not really backing off that much.
Not at all, Kathy. You're seeing those speeds continuing 100 miles an hour plus, and just blowing right by those cars. Let me come out wider so you can see what this car has up ahead. Not a whole lot of traffic, but still there's some cars out there that can suddenly make a lane change in front of them.
So, Gil, we're looking at about, 30 miles or so if this originated in Ontario. Right now, well past Rosemead, obviously. But this car, we still don't know who's in the car with the driver, male or female, and we don't know if they're passengers, and we still don't yet know the want on this and what the warrant is out there and why they have been pursuing him. Do we have now CHP that is leading this pursuit?
You know, surprisingly, Robert, no. We're waiting to hear from the California Highway Patrol and scanning all their frequencies, and they're really not talking about it. Other than when we first got on the pursuit, they were talking about its location. But right now, probably because it's moving so quickly through the area, it's coming into downtown LA right now. So the CHP probably. Oh, look at the car just spun out there. The wet road. That was enough to do it on that slight turn. You see the brake lights there. We're going to get around the bridge here, but you see the brake lights there, and the car just kind of spun out of control because of the wet highway. He's going to go the wrong direction here, maybe. Let's see. We're making a turn, and he's going to go back the right direction. You see the headlights there. There he goes. And he had the ability to do that because the police were just not behind him anymore, and he lost the control on that transition road here because of the slick highway.
Yeah, this is just one thing you don't want to see in a night like tonight. You never want to see a pursuit, but you don't want to see it when the roads are like that, and you just have evidence of how dangerous the conditions are. Gil, you know what kind of car this guy's driving?
It's a Toyota Camry, where I understand. It looks like it's a four-door Camry, gold or light in color there. I do see the airship that's over this pursuit below us, and they're keeping track of it. So they are in surveillance mode, but I'm not sure if that's a California Highway Patrol aircraft or if that's a sheriff's or LAPD. But it's exiting now here, and this is off the 10 freeway. So let me come out wide, and you're going to see a vehicle in front of the driver there. And we'll see which direction they take.
Well, thank goodness that driver didn't hit anyone when he spun around. He or she spun around there. So it'll be interesting to see if we see any law enforcement behind him. But Gil, is this something that Ontario could stay on or hand over to the CHP? I mean, is it their option to stay on this pursuit for some reason if they want to?
Absolutely. They were the lead agency, the Ontario PD, and they have the right to pull off of it altogether or let another agency like the California Highway Patrol take the lead on the pursuit. But right now, it looks like this driver, other than the helicopter overhead, is alone as the driver here drives eastbound on 4th Street now, a turn on Soto.
And that spin out that happened underneath the overpass apparently didn't damage the car at all.
You know, I had a wide shot of it as we were going through that interchange and the trees that were there. I kept a wide shot, but I saw it all of a sudden turn sideways, and it just kind of skidded down that road sideways and came to a stop. Luckily, not really hitting anything or anybody. That's the good news, and the driver was able to turn it back around and get it going the right direction.
And you have to wonder if that kind of had a change of attitude for the driver, realizing, I can spit out, I could, end this right now and not in a good way, and has decided to try a different route.
Absolutely. Boyle Heights is the location right now. The driver just simply pulling over and blacking out. So we'll see if the driver jumps out or just sits there because
looks like
no
they're getting
sign
out.
of police.
Looks like they're getting out maybe on both sides. I thought I saw the passenger side open as well.
Looks like you're right. Yeah.
Yep. 2 doors there opening in the front. Now the driver door closing.
Gil, is there an airship over right now?
Let me check with my pilot. Hey, Casey, the airship that's overhead, is that LAPD or sheriff's? Okay, we're hearing now that the airship that that I was seeing was called off, and look at that, the passenger walking out there, and the driver taking off with the door open on the passenger door.
So they've let the passenger off. You just see the passenger looks like picked up their cell phone and was dialing something, and now the continues, but the headlights look like they're off. And this
still blacked
continues.
out. The driver now continuing here on Chicago Street, and I'm listening to see if the CHP is going to get back involved in this, but it sounds like they're not. I think they were trying to get into position, but now that it's on surface streets, they won't.
Gil, we've dropped the map. Tell us where we are right now.
Yeah, it's Boyle Heights, Rogers Avenue, and Chicago Street. And there's an airship there that's just joined us. Below there comes the night sunlight. And so we'll see if LAPD, this is LAPD's jurisdiction now, so we'll see if the LAPD takes over this pursuit.
All right, we should mention we don't know how many people in total were in that car. One person has been dropped off. He walked away. And now the car continues here, lights back on, and we're going to see what this driver is going to do now.
Yeah, they had the time there. The passenger and the driver could have swapped It could have been the driver that got out. We had no way of knowing that, but we did see the driver's door open and then close, and then the passenger side open, and then that person coming out. So we're assuming that the driver's still the driver and not the passenger.
And again, if you are just joining us with this pursuit, it originated in Ontario. We're not exactly sure. Ontario PD alluding to that it may have just been a failure to yield. There was a driver and at least one passenger in the car because we saw them get out when they stopped in Boyle Heights. But from Ontario to Rosemead and now in Boyle Heights. So this Toyota Camry's clocked some mileage in the last 30 minutes or so, Gil.
Sure has, Robert. We're trying to get the scanner up for the LAPD to see if we're hearing if there's any activity there. It sounds like the CHP is completely out of it. I don't think they ever were able to get into position for this pursuit, but now it is in LAPD's jurisdiction.
And we saw those speeds at over 120 miles per hour, and it looks like he's starting to speed up again. And what street was he appear to be on
Yeah,
right
we
now?
saw the speeds, but we also saw him skid and lose control at one point. It was very scary. No one was injured. No other cars were hit. But you have to wonder if he's going to go at those speeds, which we saw earlier. 120 or more is what we were looking at.
That's right, Kathy and Robert. We're clocking the car right now about 60 miles an hour. It's eastbound on Whittier at Esperanza, so it's still in Boyle Heights, but heading towards East LA.
And you have to wonder what has happened to the person who was let out of the car, because they just walked away in the darkness there on a side street.
Seemed pretty casual about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't think that person was worried about the officers getting him because at that point the airship had pulled off and they probably didn't see that person getting out. But now we have an airship back overhead and waiting to see if LAPD or the sheriffs now, as it's approaching the East LA area, that's sheriff's jurisdiction, if they will take over.
All right,
Now, as we
interesting.
continue-
I'm sorry to interrupt, Robert.
No,
I didn't mean to step over you. I just wonder, is he obeying any traffic signals, any traffic lights? It's hard to tell. Is he just going through intersections, or is that just wide open?
You know, it looks like the driver's been pretty lucky here going through green lights, so we'll see if it continues to have good luck like that. Here he's coming on his brakes. He's got a red light and stopping at that intersection. Well, he's going to go through.
And again,
green light.
we don't know where law enforcement is, Gil, and before we talk about that, I just want to let anyone watching right now know that we have Saturday Night Live coming up in just a few minutes. It will be here on NBC4. Just stay where you are, and if you want to continue to watch this pursuit, you can follow it at NBCLA.com or on our NBC LA app. And that is the plan for us right now as this pursuit continues. Looks like about 45 minutes heading now, and this car doesn't appear to want to stop anytime soon, Gil, so we may be here for a while, continuing to monitor this.
That's right, Robert. Just past Calvary Cemetery, eastbound Whittier Boulevard. I don't know if you noticed that helicopter in the shot as I came wide. That's the LAPD helicopter that's tracking the vehicle. So we'll see what happens. A right turn here on, this is going to be Ford Street.
All right, and again, the speed staying, well, actually, not that slow for a side street on a slick, rainy night, but again, not on approaching the speeds that we saw earlier.
That's right, Kathy, but on this street, this is residential, so it could be very dangerous if anybody steps out in front of this driver right through that intersection, and this should be Olympic, and he's setting up for a right turn.
Does he appear as if he's sort of going in circles and wants to stay in this Boyle Heights neighborhood? Gil, as we've seen so many times with drivers and pursuits, they tend to pick a neighborhood, either they're familiar with it or it's close to home, or do you think he just made the drop-off and is now getting back on the 710?
Yeah, it looks like he's getting back on.
Yeah, you're right, Robert. He circled around here, but it looked like he was looking for the on-ramp to the northbound 710 freeway, so that's where we're going now.
So now we can check and see if he's going to pick up those speeds, and so far staying about 60, almost 70 miles per hour, not picking them up just yet. But again, no law enforcement behind him at this point, only overhead, right?
Yeah, that's right, Kathy, but that could change now that he's on the freeway, so the California Highway Patrol could have had time now to get in position in this area. That's going to be the East LA CHP, so we'll see if they get involved. I'm trying to listen up for them to see if I hear any chatter there.
And on this rainy night, we've already seen this car, this Toyota, spin out once. And fortunately, no cars in front or behind were involved in any type of collision. But, you know, that was a very, very lucky set of circumstances there.
It sure was. When I saw that car going sideways, I thought, oh boy, this is it. But the car was able to just slide sideways down that transition road there, and it came to a stop. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it took a minute, but they were able to get it up and going, and no law enforcement right behind them, so they just took off, and this whole thing just continued there. And it wasn't too long after that we saw the driver, or maybe, you know, we don't really know who they dropped off, but the passenger side door opened.
Let's switch over now to NBCLA.com, and our viewers here watching right now on television, Saturday Night Live, coming up next. The pursuit continues on the web.
Watching the live stream of NBC4 News on NBCLA.com. We'll be right back.
Helicopter overhead eventually pulled off, but now LAPD helicopter is tracking the vehicle, and we're still waiting to see if any agency is going to try to pick this back up other than the LAPD, which at this point it is out of their jurisdiction. So right now we're in Alhambra. Oh, look at that, oh man, he just ran through that red light there, and that car almost clipped him there as those drivers are going northbound on that street. But that's been the closest call that we've seen tonight in this pursuit.
I was just going to say that we haven't seen any cars come close to colliding with this driver, even at the speeds that they've been going with the slick streets. I mean, it's been a pretty lucky situation, but there they go, picking up speed once again. And such an interesting night. They dropped off someone. Someone got out of that vehicle. They turned off the lights and on side streets dropped someone off, and that person just got out and walked away.
Yes, without any officers nearby to even spot him. But we're hearing now that the LAPD helicopter may have pulled off as well. We'll see if Alhambra gets into this pursuit. There's a unit going the opposite way, so we'll see if that unit comes around and engages in the driver in this pursuit. I'm hearing from my pilot, Casey Sanders, that that unit turned around. I'm staying tight on that driver here as that unit is going to get into position and try to get into this pursuit. So it looks like Alhambra will be the leading agency now.
And Gil, I think it's important to point out, as we discussed before, because we've been tracking this pursuit now for about 20 minutes or so, that due to the high speeds and due to the road conditions, it would make sense that law enforcement is going to pull way back on this.
And likely so. Look at the speeds, 96 miles an hour on Valley Boulevard with wet streets. So look at this, hard on the brakes. He's going to try to avoid spinning out again, right through that light, and then continuing. So we'll see if that Alhambra unit just stays way back and just kind of watches the vehicle as it speeds away.
But Gil, I'm kind of curious if we see more close calls, like we almost saw the driver hit those two cars in the intersection, that would be something they might want to reevaluate and get back on this and maybe try to bring this to an end. I mean, it's a tough call. You're going to let them go to kind of keep it sane, but then you have to intervene when it gets too dangerous for other people.
That's right, Kathy. Usually when the police pull off, the driver does no longer see the lights and sirens behind them. They tend to calm down and slow their speeds. But in this case, this driver just continues 83 miles an hour right now on Valley.
In San Gabriel, and we started in Ontario, so this man is not on a mission, or this woman, it appears, to where they're going, does it? Because they've gone north, south, east, and west right now.
That's right, Robert, and back eastbound. So we'll see if the driver tries to make its way back to the freeway and try to go back towards Ontario or not.
Yeah, we don't really know a whole lot of details about what's going on, like who the person is, why they might be reluctant to stop for police, really what the want was exactly, and if this is their car, and if anyone has run the plates to get more information, or if they're in any kind of contact with them.
Yeah, exactly. Here's an intersection and makes that right turn on a red. So all by himself here or herself now on San Gabriel Boulevard, and looks like heading back towards the freeway. So we might see the driver jump on the freeway here in about a quarter or a half mile.
right. Well, of course, we continue to follow the information about what happens. We will keep you informed. And Gil, we're going to leave you now for a moment as we continue to follow this car here on NBCLA.com. Latest information on the news starting tomorrow, Today in LA at 7 a.m.
Well, we're seeing the car now westbound 10 freeway. And we'll see if the CHP tries to pick it back up, but at this point, no airship overhead. We're gonna sign off at this point. We're gonna continue to keep flying with this car, but at this point, we're gonna end our broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is Gil Levis signing off.
I could really use the car, so I think I'm going to keep it. All right, what do you bid? Skincare products, the trip to Palm Springs, and the Toyota, all together. I'm going to go $26,500. $26,500.
Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching us. Welcome back.
Let's get it going. Go ahead, Jordan.
Bam. We're gonna leave you tonight. We're gonna leave you this morning. Take care. Signing off. Video.
My restaurant opens in a few hours and I'm still a dozen short.
Still managing inventory the old school way?
Okay.
Take on the open terrain with the